Hello, it's me, Simone. I'm here to share my currently inked pens for the month of September. Most of those are leftovers from the summer of bottles. No, not most of those. These three. These are all new from the San Francisco Pen Show, or maybe the ink was new. Something was new here. And I just felt like, I think this one is the only one that I inked up new. The other ones, maybe I changed the nib and played around with it. And I wanted to share what I have inked. I am going to do another 31 inks, 31 pens. This time 31 postcards in October. So I'm not inking up many of the things. I'm just observing how I'm gravitating towards certain pens compared to others, and what the reasons for those might be. I just finished my first letter after the San Francisco Pen Show, so I'm still not using them as much as I would want to use them, but I'm still learning quite a bit about my preferences, and especially writing that letter opened up quite a few interesting or things that I noticed that I want to share with you. So I prepared this sheet here. I stamped with my trusty ink pad VersaFine. It's pigment ink, it's waterproof, very detailed. And then I used this awesome stamp set from the Well Appointed Desk. And I just used the nibs down here as well as some of the ink bottles. And I tried to break out of my comfort zone by just stamping randomly and not using the same thing over and over. I have a Sailor Pro Gear, a Benu Euphoria, a Lamy 2000, a Mayfair Vanyar model, a Leonardo Momento Grande, a Walltown Watts, an Esterbrook Estie, and a Franklin-Christoph model. I think it's a P20. That is also quite interesting because I don't remember the specifics of most of those pens. I'm not going in any color order. The order that I'm going to choose to share is when they were inked. So let's just fill out. I want to do the same thing as I did previously, which is fill in some of the stamped image and then use my water brush to move it all apart. Where is one of those? Like so, because I think that looks really awesome. And I also feel like you can see quite a bit about the ink here. And then move that down here so we can see that ink. Okay. This is my Sailor Pro Gear Too Hot Habanero. I talked about this so often now. I did a successful nib swap on this. This now has a medium nib. It is a 21 karat gold nib. The ink that is in here is Dominant Industry Earl Grey Tea. And this is what I can say about all of my Sailor pens and nibs. I just love this nib. It has some feedback. It is wet and smooth. Yes, feedback and smooth can coexist. I feel great every time I use the pen. And it seems like I'm much slower when I write than when I talk to you about this, about what I wrote. So I will just say that it's very interesting to me that often the things that I think I won't like, I fall in love with. You will see that with the Leonardo as well. And some of the things that I have high hopes and I anticipate loving turn out not to be great for me. Maybe it has to do with expectations, I'm not sure, but I'm slowly expanding my sailor collection, which you will see pretty soon in another video. Yes. This is my Sailor Pro Gear 2 Hot Habanero with a medium nib, inked with Dominant Industry Earl Grey tea. The next one that I have is the Benu Euphoria Atlas exclusive Gold Coast. I love the holo foil-ish things that are included here. I hope you can see them. And I really like the chatoyance that is on here on this lighter blue section. This one is a fine nib. So yes, it is the Benu Euphoria Gold Coast. That was an Atlas exclusive, and I was able to obtain this using my affiliate credit in the summer of 2023. And that was just made possible because all of you are using my code, which you will see on the screen right here. It's Simone10. And it's awesome that I'm able to expand my collection, maybe purchase some pens that I wouldn't otherwise because I'm hesitant about them, but having the ability through credit to get some things that I'm not 100% sure about is always helpful. It is inked with Robert Oster Tea Time. Every time I use a Benu Euphoria, it makes me think that I need to expand that Euphoria collection just as the sailors. However, I've decided to just leave my collection at 2. I sold one of them earlier this summer because I didn't gravitate towards it as much as I had hoped to. The pen feels so comfortable in my hand. I love how wet this nib is, but also how amazingly fine it is. That's all I had to say about it because it's just great. This was my Benu Euphoria with a Gold Coast, the Atlas exclusive, with a fine steel nib. Next up we have the Lamy 2000. This is both of these pens earlier are cartridge converter pens. This one is the Lamy 2000, and for some reason I always have ink on the section right here. It is super wet. I'm still waiting on my medium nib from Endless Pens. I think my 90-day wait time is almost over. Let's see if it arrives or if they cancel my order then. I don't know. Have you ever had the 90 days exceeded? I'd love to know. So this is the Lamy 2000. Oh my gosh. Can you see how wet this is? Black. Krylon with a fine nib. I cannot wait to try this with a medium nib, even if I just try it and say it's not for me. Especially, since I ordered this nib on July 2nd, I believe, I'm slowly moving from liking broads and mediums more towards the finer nibs. And this is Pilot Iroshizuku Tsuki-yo. This pen is a gusher. I am trending towards finer nibs that are super wet, and this pen fits the bill. I love how it feels. As I said, this is a piston filler. I'm not really eager to unink this right now. It works well. The color is lovely. This one, on the other hand, is the Mayfair Vanyar model with a beautiful hollow transparent section part by now I'm blanking on their name. I will put this on the screen right here. And I took off the medium nib because I just didn't really enjoy the writing experience with this nib, and put on my journaler nib. But unfortunately, I still don't like the experience. And I don't know why. I will figure it out though. This is the journaler nib. And the ink is Colorverse San Francisco Bay. So I have two problems, and I will write those down in a second. When I'm writing with this, even though I'm okay with how my hand feels, when I'm actually writing with it, I feel like I'm holding it. I have to hold it higher, at a higher writing angle than I used to, because if I don't, then I'm with my fingers, I'm right here on this sharp edge, which is not a problem because you're not supposed to hold your pen right there. But for some reason, I always end up here and it always feels wrong. And I have a really hard time figuring out the right finger and hand position for this pen. So that is the first thing. Even though when I tested it the first time, it felt okay, I'm starting to feel like maybe it's not as comfortable for me as I thought it would be. And if you have purchased, look at the sparkles in this resin. If you have one of those and you've been writing with it, let me know, especially those who bought one at the San Francisco Pen Show. Let me know how your feelings are now that you have used it for a while. Is it still so cool, or do you notice something, maybe a similar feeling as I have? So that's the first thing. Maybe also the hand position has to do with the fact that this is a journaler nib. I think there's three things. Now, that I don't enjoy the journaler nib on this pen. I'm not sure that I'm currently really drawn to any of my specialty nibs. So I'm going to remove those from my pens and then see how I feel about the pen without the specialty nib, especially with this one. And then when I know that it's not the pen, it's the nib, then I will, at a later date, I'm not going to make any decisions right now about all of my specialty nibs. Then I will assess what to do with my specialty nibs. I feel kind of sad, but on the other hand, if I really enjoy round tip nibs, why shouldn't I? Why does it have to be the next step? It's not necessarily the next step. And at the moment, it's not the next step for me, for sure. Maybe that also has to do with this handwriting analysis that I was talking about. I don't think I put it in my snippets of my desk video though. They said that I have an outward turn of 11 degrees. And since I found out about this, I have been consciously paying attention. I think they are right. I wasn't really sure if just writing my name would give them actual really good data to be able to analyze this, because this is just like, this is my name. It's not a paragraph. It's not 2 sentences. What if I took this after 3 days of the pen show at 4 p.m. on Sunday afternoon? Is this really representative of my writing style? But I think it might actually be. If I'm using one of those here, and let's just put this right here, and let me put this here, then the 55 line is almost where I'm holding my pen. And maybe that's because I'm holding it higher up. That is what makes it uncomfortable. And then maybe all of those stubby nibs are not suitable, easily adjustable for me, because I'm tilting it slightly outward. I don't really know. So I'm gonna write that all down. Oh, and then I also think that maybe the ink is slightly dry. So the next step, and I hope I'm going to use this in my 31 inks, 31 pens, 31 days. I hope to find an ink that is wet so that I can test it with a wet ink. And then I know that when I'm using it with a wet ink, it usually shows me if maybe I was holding the pen differently because of the nib or the ink. Before I tell you what I wrote, I'm just going to add that the sparkly middle section of the pen was made by Enigma Stationery, and the swirly resin of the cap and the back part of the barrel is a turned Penco blank called Moonlit Waters. This wasn't a great experience as much as I wanted it to be. It might be the ink, too dry, the nib, too stubby, or the section, not as comfortable as I had hoped. I will just have to test all of this out and see what happens. So this was my Mayfair Pens Vanyar model with a journaler nib and Colorverse San Francisco Bay. Now this, I think, is the winner of my 2024. This is the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande with a titanium nib in medium. The ink that is in here is Kobe number 22 Shinkaichi Gold. and this is Primary Manipulation Light. Maybe it's light, L-I-T, I don't know. This is a medium TI nib. The ink is now I'm saying this as from the angle of only having used this ink in here. I don't know if this is a very dry ink or a wet ink, but the way it lays down this specific ink, it feels really great. It is a piston filler pen. This one is a cartridge converter pen. This is a piston filling pen. It has an ebonite feed, and the nib is humongous. This is a number 8 size nib. If you know the story of this pen, then I went for the pen because of the resin, and I think I love it because of the nib. Now, of course, I still love the resin. This pen is so comfortable. I never thought I was going to get a Leonardo pen, especially because of the really short clip. I don't think it fits the aesthetic of the pen. It's way too small. And I still feel that way, but I purchase pens not necessarily based on their looks in general. And so once I had tested this this nib, I knew that I wanted to get it. So this pen is a winner. It has some slight feedback. It's super wet, and it feels extremely comfortable in my hand. This was the Leonardo Momento Zero Grande Primary Manipulation Light with a medium titanium nib inked with Kobe numbers 22 Shinkaichi gold. Now, I don't remember why I actually inked this one up. Maybe because I wanted to try something. I'm really not sure, but I'm glad I did. This is the, I'm gonna write it in a second, so I'm just going to finish this. This is the Walltown Watts with the Sebastian resin, and it has my Monarch medium nib on it. And the ink that is in here is Diamine Brandy Snap, which is an ink bottle that I received from my friend Maria at the San Francisco Pen Show. Now, this pen is awesome. I love the glitter in here. I seem to be a glitter person because all of the resins that I'm going for have this holographic glitter in them. I realized this one does, this one does, this one does. This looks more like it's green glitter, but then down here it looks holographic, and then this one does too. I love this nib. I was quite on the fence for a while if this is the right nib for me, if it was just the hype or what it was. But when I pull this out and I write with it, it feels so good. It's very wet, similar to the medium titanium nib, but it's a completely different feeling. I just love it. And I also really love how this pen feels in my hand. It's quite a simple design if I compare it to some of the other pens that I have in my collection, but the simple design totally makes up with comfort. Such a great writing nib. I finally get what I love about it. There is no fuss. I enjoy the pen, the nib,
and the ink. And I know that several of my YouTube friends and other friends, you don't have to have a YouTube channel, got Monarch nibs in the past few months at shows or online, and I would love to know how you feel about it now that you have it in use for a while.
This was my Walltown Watts in Sebastian with the Monarch medium nib inked with Diamine Brandy Snap. Second to last pen is the Esterbrook Estie in Funky Lake. It has the extra fine sig nib that I received from my friend Kristen from Life Inspires Design on this pen. And it is inked with Monteverde Chamaleon. Now, is this still working? Doesn't look like it. Let's go this way. Is there still ink in this pen? We don't know. So this is a cartridge. That makes me wonder. Let's prime this. This is how often I've used my pens. Even an Esterbrook Estie can't, especially such a fine nib. Let's see if I go under here. We'll just try this. I have the feeling that this ink is very saturated. I mean, you can see how much ink color comes out of here. And this makes it very prone to drying up. Do I want to test this on a different paper first to make sure that it actually writes? Yes, okay. So I believe it was just the feed and nib out here because the rest is okay. Let's see. And as I said before, I am going to put aside all of my specific specialty nibs for now. Monteverde, Chamaleon. And the funny thing is that now that I write with this one, it doesn't feel as bad as this one. Maybe it's because it's finer. So yeah, this is definitely my favorite Estie design. And I love it. I really enjoy the way that it looks. I love that blue. Never comes across the right shade of blue on my videos.
This nib feels better than I thought it would. I know that I love the pen. It's an Esterbrook Estie. I enjoy the ink, but it seems to be a bit finicky, so I need to investigate this a bit further. But that could also be the nib and ink combination, so I will definitely use both with other inks just to see how I actually feel about each part individually.
This was my Esterbrook Estie in Funky Lake with an extra fine sig nib filled with Monteverde Chamaleon. And then lastly, we have the Franklin-Christoph P20. No, it says 20. So maybe it's the model 20 or it's a P20. It's definitely a pocket pen. It seems the Dragoness resin, but it doesn't explicitly state it on the Franklin-Christoph side. I received this pen as a gift. It is a push to cap. Oh, I forgot to say. So this was a piston filler. This is a cartridge converter. This one is a cartridge pen. I don't believe a cartridge converter fits in here, but I will definitely try this when I ink it up next. There's definitely some room down here, so maybe a converter fits. If you have one of those, let me know. Originally, the extra fine sig nib that I have in the Funky Lake was on this pen, but I did not enjoy that at all. So I decided to put a broad nib on here, because in order to see if this is how I can make this pen work for me, and I think it does. And I have the San Francisco Pen Show nib from 2023. I did not get one in 2024. I did not go through a lot of efforts on the first day to get one. And then when I had my appointment with Kirk, it was already sold out. This is Taccia ume-murasaki. And this here is more like it usually looks. So you can see that there has been some serious evaporation been going on. Now, if you know me, then you also know that that is not necessarily something that I enjoy a lot. We'll have to see. Only time will tell if that is something that I can accept with this pen or not. I have definitely sold quite a few pens just because I did not enjoy this.
This ink is still my favorite of 2024. I like the pen with the pretty big nib, and the flow is great. Lots of evaporation going on. But as I'm recording this voiceover, I used this pen yesterday for journaling, and I loved it. I love the sparkles in this pen, and I think this is going to stay with me forever.
So these are the 8 pens that I have currently inked. I will probably leave them inked until the end of the month. Well, not all of them. I will surely I'm going to unink this pen as well as this pen, and I will go through my nibs that I have that are round tipped, spare nibs, to see what I have so that I can replace those specialty nibs with the regular nibs in order to prep them for 31 inks, 31 pens, 31 days. I think maybe those I will then unink either just prior to October or a little bit further into the month, that I can have them appear at the end of the month. I don't really know how many pens I currently own, but around 35, so I should be okay. I definitely think I would need those though in order to make it all the way through to the end of October without repetition in any of the pens. All right, let me rank the pens that I have here by how much I love and use them. I would probably put this in first place, then this one in second, then this one in third. I really like this one as well. This is, yeah. So if I would have to rank them, then I would put those towards the end because of the nibs. And this one at the end because I just don't know if it's only the nib, if it's the ink, or if it's the grip. Which I'm hoping it is not, because I would be totally heartbroken if at the end it would turn out that this pen is just not for me. I'm curious to see. Well, I know that this pen with a round tip nib will feel great. I would also still keep continuing using the ink just in order to, you know, get a better feel for it because of how it behaved right here. I am very happy with this one, but this is just a basic olive green. It works the way it does. It's comfortable. This one I love because of the ink. I'm still not so sure about the pen in general. I love the resin though. It's what keeps me coming back to it and why I placed it right here. I just always feel like this pen is totally underrated. Maybe it's not. Maybe everyone uses it just because it's just great. I'm not sure why this is here. I heard that people say that you need to expel some, but I think I just recently made it smaller, if that makes sense, the chamber. This one is just so great. I have no complaints about this. The nib is fantastic. It ranked so highly because it just, using this pen with this ink and this nib this month reiterated to me that this nib has a place in my collection and that I want it and that I want to use it because I love it so much. I have so much love for Sailor pens, and I think the reason why this ranks so high is because I'm always so surprised. I never wanted to try Sailor pens because I thought they weren't for me, and now it turns out I love them all. And then this Leonardo, this nib is just fantastic. All of this here is just great. It's the resin, it's the nib, it's the way this pen feels in my hand. Like everything just works really well. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a fun time with me today. Let me know what your favorite pen and ink pairing was. I seem to be gravitating to the same old colors all the time, and I'm not mad about it at all. I hope to see you again in another video. Well, definitely for my 31 inks, 31 pens, 31 days. And once all of those new pens are uninked, I will start filming my single pen day videos for you. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your September. September is my favorite month, and I hope it is for you too. Until then, until next time, bye.